We're going to get into the individual specifics of the manifesto. I would like to invite Vice President Halicki, Vice President McAllister, and also Vice President Tajani here to the stage, where we're going to have another panel about foreign affairs, defense, and security to talk about, as we were saying before, one of those key priorities of this age, extremely relevant, obviously, to the EU, given recent events. Vice President, molto lieta di nuovo.
Hello.
Hello.
Very good Italian.
We've met before. You remember I used to live in Italy many years and interview you as a journalist. And thank you very much, Mr. Halicki. Yes, Halicki. I hope I pronounced that okay. We'll start with you, in fact, Mr. Halicki. The EPP has obviously been steadfast in its support for Ukraine, and we've had difficult news just today coming out of Ukraine with news of an attack on Odessa on Wednesday. We heard Greek members of the EPP talking about it on stage earlier in a panel I was chairing. How can Europe be stronger in defense, do you think, in terms of continuing to sort of continuing in its support for Ukraine now that we're 2 years into the war and entering a third?
In our manifesto we have... Is it okay? Yeah. In our manifesto we have very clear message. We have to support Ukraine because the microphone doesn't work. Yeah?
Let's see if we've got a handheld microphone for a second. Let me start out by, here we go, grabbing a handheld mic.
Okay, now
you will start. Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
Yes.
Let's try that. Thank you, Mr. Halicki.
So once again, I would like to repeat that we have a very clear message in our manifesto. We have to support Ukraine because Ukraine is not only fighting for the independence and for sovereignty, they are fighting also to protect our values, our security, the European way of life. We are using this phrase very frequently, and during the first attacks, but also before, when Ukrainians would like to, and they choose the pro-European way, you could see very often the European flags. So that's the reason why Putin attacked Ukraine. So we have to deliver weapon, because as soon as possible, we have to defeat Russia. But of course, we have to do much more as a society. You remember that, for instance, as EPP, when the winter was very cold, we delivered generators of hope. So everybody can have some idea to support Ukrainians because they are really fighting for our security, and we have to be with them all the time, day by day.
Are you worried that fatigue may set in, especially with the types of messaging that's coming from the United States when it comes to support for Ukraine, to try and help Ukraine to win a decisive victory? Well, from the EU perspective?
First of all, the victory, this is also the issue we have to be very clear. When and what is the victory, Ukrainians has to tell us. But of course, the pressure is needed, and what I would like to say also in our manifesto is very, very clear. We have to be much more stronger as we are, as European Union. So that's the reason we are proposing European Commissioner for Defense and Security, much higher expenses on security and also military mobility, security of the external borders. We have to be much more stronger than we are, and we have all capabilities to do that, to achieve it. And also it should be a good example for the others, because democratic world has to be united in that, and also not only European case, but among the members of NATO, we have to be stronger and united.
Thank you, Vice President Halicki. I'm glad you addressed the question of the Defense Commissioner as well, because that's what I was getting at. Vice President McAllister, if I could come to you. We just heard a clip there from a German citizen saying, you know, my personal security on the streets is something I'm thinking about, as well as the security of my country, i.e. in the context of, you know, a fraught war on the edge of Europe's borders. How can Europe become stronger in defence, given the pressures that we're seeing? Because obviously it's not just Ukraine. We've got a wider conflagration, or room for a potential wider conflagration in other parts of the world, like the Middle East, that's affecting trade to these parts of the world. People are feeling less secure. What can you do to reassure them?
Well, the European Union is a global player. What we need to do is to become a real global player. And that's why I very much welcome that our election manifesto features the common foreign and security policy, and especially the common security and defense policy, at a very prominent stage, at a very prominent place, right at the beginning of the manifesto, with clear language and with very concrete proposals. You are asking, what do we have to do to strengthen European defense? I would say it's 3 steps. First, we need to ramp up our industrial defense bases. With the programs we already have, we very much welcome that Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has this week announced the new program to strengthen the European defense industry. This includes to further establish a single market for defense. The second step we need to go is to utilize the options the existing EU treaties offer, for instance, for permanent structured cooperation. Let me name here especially the project military mobility. And the third step is that long-term, our goal as European Union is integrated European armed forces with a Navy component, an air component, a land component, and a cyber component. For me, the European Defence Union, which is our long-term goal, is kind of like a puzzle with 5,000 pieces. We have set the frame with the permanent structured cooperation, with the European Defence Agency, with the European Defence Fund. I can name many more projects, but this now has to be put together. So in the end, we are much stronger, which is important for us as Europeans. A final point, and I'm very enthusiastic about this, I'm very emotional about this, whatever we want to do in Europe to strengthen security and defense should never be against NATO or in competition with NATO. It's about strengthening the European pillar within NATO. We are strong believers in the transatlantic alliance with the United States of America, Canada, and the United Kingdom, and that will always remain the same.
Thank you, Vice President McAllister. Vice President Tajani, obviously Europe, as I was saying before, finds itself in a world in turmoil at the moment, not just on its borders, but elsewhere. I was talking about events in the Middle East. We've been through situations, also climate crisis as well, is causing migration from other parts of the world. How do you think this manifesto addresses those types of problems that people were talking about there in that video?
Thank you for the question. This manifesto is a strategy on the future of the European Union, is a strategy for the EPP, for the EPP governments. Of course, this situation is changing in the world. For this, we need to work hard, all together. The unity of the European Union is crucial in this moment. It's crucial for the protection of Ukraine, for independence of Ukraine. It's crucial for our defense policy. I totally agree with Ursula von der Leyen when she proposed a commissioner for industry. I totally agree on the decision of the European Commission on an industrial defense policy. I worked hard when I was commissioner on this, because every part of this manifesto is part of the strategy. Also, we are an industrial country. Europe is an industrial continent. Middle East, Red Sea situation. For us, export is crucial. If we want to protect our trade, we need to protect the ships working in the Red Sea. For this, the Aspides project, Aspides mission is crucial. It's an European mission for the protection of our interests. It's a defense strategy, it's part of the defense strategy, but it's important because it's a first step for the European defense. The Middle East, this situation is also very important to be present in the Middle East, to be more active for achieving good decision on peace. We need to protect Israel. We are working for 2 people, 2 states. It's a strategy. and we need more Europe on this. We need the strongest Europe. In this moment, the position of Europe is not very strong. We need to do more. For this, we need to be more united also on the content. The other part of our security is illegal immigration. We need to have a strategy in Africa, for example, for paving the way for growth, against terrorism, against climate change, for helping the Africans with joint ventures, looking at Africa not with European glasses, with African glasses. But we need to pay attention because Russia will use illegal immigration against us. They will push a lot of migrants through criminals organizations, for example, in different countries, for putting problem in the south of Europe, Italy, for example, because we are strongly engaged in support of Ukraine. For this, if there are problems in the Middle East, in the Red Sea, in the Mediterranean region, it's more complicated for us to work hard in defense of Ukraine. For this, we need to be united, to have a strategy. We need to look at the Western Balkans. This is a not crucial part for us. For the stability of Europe, we need to work more, and David knows very well the situation, to work more for having this country with us. The full membership of the Western Balkans countries is crucial. If we want to have this country with us, because to lose the Western Balkans is to put the Western Balkans in Russian hands or in Chinese hands. This should be a super big mistake. We want the Western Balkans with us. This is an important part of our political strategy, for our security, because security is not only to have a police or army close to our borders. It's to have a strategy. Our strategy is to be more present in the Middle East, more present in Africa, also with a Marshall Plan for Africa, but also in the Western Balkans. The Western Balkans is crucial. The solution of the Western Balkan problem is crucial for us. Also, if we want to strengthen Ukraine, we need to work hard in the Western Balkans. And we as EPP government, we are working hard in this region together. I come from the Bosnia-Herzegovina with my Austrian friends, Minister of Foreign Affairs, EPP too. And why we decided to be together in Bosnia-Herzegovina? Because the message is, we Europeans, we are united. It's a political message. I'm not alone as Italian, it's not alone as Austrian. We are together for sending a message to Bosnia-Herzegovina. We want to help you for being part of the European Union. For this, the unity among us is crucial. And this manifesto is a good message for our unity. Now, after the Congress, we need to implement, because to vote in favor, it's easy, but the implementation is more complicated. For this, we are strongly engaged for the implementation of this manifesto.
I was going to say, just briefly, thank you very much, Vice President Tajani. I was going to just say briefly, Vice President McAllister, it's great to have a really ambitious manifesto because it gets everybody energized. But these are long roadmaps towards some of these ambitious targets, aren't they?
I very much welcome our election manifesto. We worked on it for many weeks and months, and in the end, we got all our member parties on board. And I would like to ask all delegates to vote in favor of this manifesto. For us, this is the plan for the next 5 years, where we want to go in the European Union. This will be the basis for our talks with other political parties after the elections. And I think one thing we can say today, and we're very proud as members of the European People's Party, we are the #1 in Europe. We want to lead the European Union, and we are bridge builders. We want to create a better Europe for our citizens, for our businesses and our families. It's us who are in the lead, and that's why we want to move forward with our manifesto.
Vice President.
Unity and strength.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to thank our panel, Vice President Halicki, Vice President Tajani, and Vice President McAllister for that impassioned debate about how this manifesto addresses those concerns about foreign affairs, security, and so on and so forth. Gentlemen.
Unity will be visible also during the...
And unity as well, as you were saying before. Thank you very much, Vice Presidents.
And we need to change the treaties. We need to lose the unanimity. We need to choose the majority. Because without a choice, with majority, it's impossible to move on for a better and stronger Europe. For this, we need to work hard in this direction.
Okay.
Look forward to the next manifesto then. Thank you very much, Vice Presidents.